Disney's Star Wars Hotel is officially open, and we know you've got questions. How's that blue shrimp taste? Am I really stuck in space for 48 hours? Do I need to dress to the Galactic 9s on board? And what are you really getting for that $6,000 price tag? Well, stick around because we've got answers. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. The Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser is now officially open, and the very first guests are being plunged into the most immersive experience Disney has ever created. Though many have referred to this as Disney World's newest hotel, the Galactic Starcruiser is actually a choose-your-own-adventure that takes place over 2 days, where you have the power to sabotage a ship, steal from the First Order, smuggle your favorite Star Wars characters aboard, and try that blue shrimp. We had a chance to experience the Galactic Starcruiser firsthand, and today we're going to answer the questions you've asked us about this experience. I'm going to go over what dining looks like, how character interactions work, how to know which events you can't miss, how to play games with otherworldly beings, who to dress as or what to dress as, and all your other burning questions about this mysterious universe that has kept us on the edge of our seats since it was first announced back in 2017. Whether you're here to plan for your upcoming trip to a galaxy far, far away, or you just want to see what on earth Disney is doing, we got you covered. So what is the Star Wars Hotel? Well, let's get the basics out of the way here. Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser is a 2-day, 2-night, all-inclusive, totally immersive, part murder mystery dinner theater, part escape room, part choose-your-own-adventure game, and it's all set within the Star Wars universe, specifically the events happening between the last 2 films of the sequel trilogy. It is overwhelming and intense. The sheer amount of storyline happening around you is impressive, and you get to choose who you interact with, what you do, and how much you participate. If you want more about our takes on how the whole experience really plays out and some of the truths we learned during our stay, we've got another video that lays that all out for you to help you decide if this is the vacation you're looking for. We'll link that for you right here. So how does Disney World fit into this equation? As I talk about this experience more in depth, I want to make 2 things super clear. 1, this experience is supposed to make you feel like you're in your own Star Wars film, and the Starcruiser team does a top-notch job of doing that from the get-go. So when you start asking things about Magic Kingdom or Disney World in general, characters aboard the ship aren't going to have a clue what you're talking about. Epcot, who's she? Sounds like a very nice person. Now, your best bet to have any otherworldly matters answered about the rest of your vacation outside Galactic Starcruiser is probably going to be passenger services or guest services during your Disney's Hollywood Studios stay. With that being said, don't assume for a second that you're just going to be dropped into this realm with Disney all like, LOL, good luck figuring this stuff out. Passenger services will be there with you from the get-go to make sure you're all situated and not left dazed and confused. They'll check your Magic Band to make sure it works, double check to see that you have the Play Disney Parks app downloaded onto your phone, which will be the key to your immersive experience, more on that later, and they'll even walk you to your cabin to make sure you find it okay. And if you have any other concerns when it comes to being a passenger aboard this voyage, passenger services can provide the answers you are looking for. Maybe not the droids you're looking for, but the answers. Yeah, see what I did there? Okay. Basically, passenger services will be your Northern Star out in space, so you don't have to overthink this. Don't be scared, don't be shy, come on in, the ship is fine. So how do I check in to a spaceship? Well, congratulations, you're about to board the Halcyon. Now what? Go ahead and arrive at the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser terminal after 1 p.m. and before 4 p.m. on the date your journey begins. Your best bet is to Uber or take a taxi, but you can bring your own car and it will be valet parked for you. Once you pull into the cruise terminal, passenger services will check you in, get you a Halcyon Magic Band, which comes included with your Starcruiser package, and play a little safety video for you. This safety video will explain the difference between what to do during a space emergency versus what to do in an actual emergency. After that, you'll head to a transport shuttle, which works a lot like the Stellarvator over at the Space 220 restaurant in Epcot. Basically, you'll be lifted off into space through elevator-like magic. Make sure to ooh and ah as you approach the Halcyon. Once you get into the main atrium, which is massive and grand, which is nice to see on such a relatively small building, you'll link up with another passenger services cast member who'll take you to your room and answer any other questions you might have. So what are those emergency doors in the cabins? Well, you might notice a little silver handle attached to a panel that's right next to the window of your cabin. This is your emergency exit hatch. In case of an actual emergency, you'll hear 3 giant beeps followed by a pre-recorded message letting passengers know this is not part of the experience and is, in fact, an actual unscripted emergency. That little panel with the handle in your room is an exterior access portal that can be opened by emergency personnel in the unlikely case that something like this were to ever happen. So don't try to mess with it thinking that it's another interactive element. Definitely for emergency use only. And what do I mean by emergency access portal? Well, it basically leads to outside. If you go past the Galactic Starcruiser from outside, like literally on the street in Disney World, you can see what look like windows on the outside of the building, even though there aren't any actual windows. Those are probably where the emergency access portals lead to. So how many people can be aboard this ship? Well, if you're worried that you're going to see lines for lightsaber training, like you'd see lines for Rise of the Resistance at Disney's Hollywood Studios, rest assured, you won't. This ship has very limited capacity, with only 100 passenger cabins and suites to prevent the cruiser from feeling overcrowded and to allow passengers to fully experience the storylines they want to easily access. That means if you're planning on becoming a passenger here, you need to book out pretty far in advance. You can make reservations for Starcruiser from now through September 30th, 2022, but we'll let you know when more dates become available. When you're ready to start booking, you can get in touch with the Galactic Starcruiser specialist at 407-939-1800. Just make sure to have all your ducks in a row, or porgs in a row, I guess, before you make that call by knowing the date you're wanting to go on your voyage, the number of people in your party, including their names, ages, and phone numbers, if applicable, your preference for first or second dinner seating for the Crown of CORELLIA dining room. Talk about this more soon, I promise. And any additional activities you want to book to experience top-tier immersion aboard the ship. All right, so can I book for more or less than 2 nights? No. The storylines and experiences here are played out over the course of a 2-day excursion. No more, no less. So if you want to go again, save up that moolah for a later date. And if you don't want to stay the full 2 nights, then you best be looking for another place to stay and stick with visiting Batuu at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is also jam-packed with a lot of cool Star Wars immersion at a much lower price. And what's included? Well, I'm not just paying for a room here, right? I get other things too. Yeah, you do. So let's jump to what is included with that gigantic price tag of around $5,000 to $6,000. First off, you'll get a 2-night stay in a cabin or suite based on your preference. But heads up, there's a pretty hefty price difference between those two. On top of that, you'll be constantly immersed in intergalactic role-playing, including being sent on missions, playing games, and unraveling a story of your choosing. Side note, this experience, not a vacation. If you fully participate in all the moving pieces parts at play here, there's not going to be a whole lot of downtime for you, so keep that in mind if you are hoping to relax for hours at a time in deep space. They keep you busy aboard the Halcyon, for sure. Now, the price of your stay also includes food and drinks aboard the Starcruiser, excluding alcoholic and specialty beverages, as well as a quick service meal at Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo or any other quick service locations at Disney's Hollywood Studios on your Batuu excursion day. Yep, I said Disney's Hollywood Studios. On day 2 of your adventure, you'll go on a Batuu excursion in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Your Starcruiser purchase does cover your admission to Disney's Hollywood Studios that day, as well as your Park Pass reservation. You'll be able to travel over to Batuu between 8:30 a.m. and on until 4:30 p.m. You're more than welcome to travel to other parts of Hollywood Studios during that time, but Starcruiser recommends you hang tight in Galaxy's Edge if you really want to unlock more of the backstory behind your Halcyon adventure. Along with admission into Disney's Hollywood Studios, you'll also get free lightning lanes to both Galaxy's Edge rides, Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, and Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, meaning you'll get to bypass the main queue line in exchange for a much, much shorter line. Time is of the essence when you're on an important mission, after all. You'll be given a little pin to wear around Galaxy's Edge so fellow Batuu cast members know where you're from and how to interact with you. You'll also receive a complimentary magic band, which is extremely crucial for missions and side quests. Your magic band is located with your plans and grants you access to certain points around the ship. Lastly, valet parking is also included with your overall purchase, because who needs a car in space? Not us. So are there any other costs? What, you didn't think Disney would skimp out on a chance to sell you enhancements, did you? Though dining is included with your overall purchase, you can book a seat at the captain's table in the Crown of CORELLIA dining room for one of your evenings. This is an additional $30 per person, and you can secure a spot in the center of the dining room, be served extra dishes that feature the captain's personal favorites. This experience sells out almost instantly, so don't be surprised if it's already booked up when you go to make your Starcruiser reservation. Although you can add this experience to your itinerary at any time before your adventure adventure begins, it's best to go ahead and try to snag it during the initial booking process and as early as possible. Other than that, the other activities and experiences aboard the ship come with your initial purchase. Other additional purchases and reservations you can make are in Galaxy's Edge, and if you've been keeping up with Batu for a while now, you're probably familiar with what exactly those are. You can build your own lightsaber at Savi's workshop, customize a droid at the Droid Depot, and sip a cocktail or two at Oga's Cantina. It's best to also make these reservations 60 days before your excursion. Okay, this is important, people, so listen up. Secure your reservations for anything extra you decide to do in Galaxy's Edge through a Galactic Starcruiser specialist instead of making them online through the Disney World website as you normally would. Starcruiser needs to figure in those experiences to your itinerary to make sure they add those specific story elements to your overall experience. So schedule through Starcruiser directly. Capiche? Okay, so what does your itinerary on the Starcruiser look like? 30 days before your big intergalactic adventure, you'll be able to check out your itinerary on your datapad, which is why it's nifty to have that Play Disney Parks app downloaded ahead of time. This itinerary is going to include pre-scheduled activities, dining times, and special events, but don't be fooled. The itinerary you study up on 30 days out will shapeshift during your time in the Halcyon. When you meet characters on the ship, you'll start receiving little side quests. Yes, just like a video game in real life. These side quests will start showing up on your datapad, so check your schedule frequently, especially after you chit-chat with a character. That way, you don't miss out on the fun extra stuff that the Starcruiser is going to start throwing your way. If a scheduled activity like dinner or a special training that you signed up for ahead of time is highlighted in orange on your schedule, then that's something you don't want to miss out on. Think of those more as main objectives rather than side quests. You don't want to miss a side quest, but you really don't want to miss a main objective. Now, do I need to use my phone the whole time? Well, to fully get the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser experience, you definitely need to have the Play Disney Parks app downloaded onto your phone. That's why passenger services are going to double check and make sure you have it when you first arrive. The Play Disney Parks app is where you'll be able to access your datapad, which includes your personal itinerary, allows you to make decisions while aboard the ship, and keeps you connected with the Halcyon crew in case they need to update you on something urgent going on. Though you'll be checking your datapad frequently, don't worry about having to obsessively check your phone to make sure you don't miss an important message. Datapad messages work just like a text message. They'll notify you when something's up. Do I need to be a Star Wars fan? What is the bare minimum Star Wars knowledge I need to know to understand this experience? Well, the bare minimum is nothing. You can go into this experience with no prior Star Wars knowledge since you'll be building a whole new storyline while you're on board, but that's simplifying things a little bit too much. Sure, you don't have to know all the lore of the Star Wars universe to appreciate the journey and the storytelling, since you're going to be introduced to a new cast of characters separate from the movie. Everybody's going to start on the same playing field, but this is a really expensive experience to go into completely blind. You're going to come across droid races, familiar characters from these well-loved stories, Jedi training courses, things that'll make superfans internally squeal because, oh my gosh, they're actually doing it. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to invest a lot of money into the Starcruiser if you don't already have a deeper appreciation for this realm and the story. Sure, you'll have a good time, but I'd recommend at least watching through the main movies to have a better understanding of the terminology and the characters at play here. Should I bring my kids? Well, the Starcruiser can be a lot of fun for younglings when it comes to meeting characters, seeing the shows, and being part of an actual Star Wars ship. It's definitely something to brag about to the class when you get back to Earth. That being said, it's important to study up on the limitations you might come across if you plan on bringing a youngling under the age of 7 to this experience. For starters, the lightsaber training experience, where travelers will be able to wield a lightsaber and actually, train with it, hence the name, is only available for guests at least 7 years old and up. So you could wind up paying a huge chunk of money only to find out one member of your group doesn't quite meet the age requirements for a super vital session aboard the Starcruiser. If you have younglings that are on a pretty strict bedtime schedule, like 7:38 p.m. sharp, then your kids won't be the only members of your group who could wind up messing out on evening experiences. You will too, because all of us parents know When your kids go to bed, you're basically stuck in there too. Now, activities continue into the night until 10 p.m. One of those activities being the big fireworks spectacular, a Halcyon Starcruiser celebration that happens around 10 p.m. on night 2. Cast members will not be able to babysit your younglings during the evening, meaning you could be stuck in your cabin when it's lights out for the little ones and miss out on other activities like evening sabacc games and late night snacks and offerings and definitely plot lines. Consider these setbacks ahead of time and decide if booking an adventure aboard the Starcruiser is still worth it if you got tiny tykes tagging along, or if you should wait until everyone in your group is a bit older and able to experience this 110%. Okay, so what if I need something delivered during my trip? I'm going to quickly mention the 2 most important delivery services that you need to be aware exist even in space: medical equipment delivery and grocery delivery. You can bring your own ECV or wheelchair or scooter on these voyages, but you can also rent select medical equipment and transportation devices, much like you'd rent them for any of the other Disney World hotels. You can ask a Galactic Starcruiser specialist for more info while you're booking your trip. And if you or someone in your group travels with an ECV, they'll still be able to experience all the different activities available here. There'll be designated parking locations on each deck of the Starcruiser for ECVs, so you'll definitely have a place to charge up for the night. As far as grocery delivery is concerned, it's kind of a hassle in terms of breaking the story. If you decide to order from a grocery delivery service like Amazon Fresh or Instacart, you'll have to meet the delivery driver out front, like where the port cochere is where you pull up for check-in. And to get out front, you're going to have to board a launch pod to exit. So again, hassle, but not impossible if you're needing last-minute necessities without completely leaving the Starcruiser. You won't ever be lacking for food during your experience, but if you've got very picky eaters who need a certain brand of snack, you can get those delivered to space. So can I leave if I want to? Well, yeah, no one's keeping you on the Starcruiser. While you can come and go as you please, this isn't a regular hotel, and you should plan on staying at the Starcruiser the duration of your trip because you certainly are paying for it. Depending on what time of the day you leave, you could potentially miss out on some crucial story points or interactive moments, but if you feel like going to the Magic Kingdom, no one's stopping you from going to the Magic Kingdom. You can just take the little transport pod down or across or however it goes to Earth again and get an Uber wherever you want to go. Now, if you're just headed outside to grab something from your car, a cast member will escort you out. Same goes for smoking. You'll be escorted outside the building and escorted back in. What is the food like? Well, humans and interplanetary creatures alike need sustenance after a long, hard day of work, defending or causing chaos within the galaxy. The head honcho of the Galactic Starcruiser dining is over at the Crown of Corellia dining room. During the day, you can grab some breakfast and all you care to enjoy lunch. And in the evening, you'll experience specialty dinners. Breakfast is served from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. on day 2 and 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on day 3 before you check out. On night 1, prepare to be dazzled by Twilight Galactic superstar Gaia, who's cruising the Halcyon for some reason. Bet there's more to that story than she's letting on. And on night 2, you'll be able to taste around the galaxy, which is kind of like Epcot's tasting around the world, I guess, but instead of tasting the dishes of different countries, you're tasting the dishes of different planets. Aside from Crown of Corellia, you've also got the SUBLIGHT Lounge, which is more of a drinks, small bites, and hollow sabacc gaming area. So your main meals are going to be found over at Crown of Corellia, and your snacks and drinks will be found over at SUBLIGHT Lounge. SUBLIGHT Lounge is available for all ages at most times throughout the day and evening. Other than that, you've got your one shining voucher for any quick service location in Disney's Hollywood Studios, but what it's really meant for is Docking Bay 7, to keep with the theme and all. This voucher won't grant you any special treatment at Docking Bay 7. You'll still have to wait in the regular line or mobile order to get your meal, and the menu is still what you'd normally order from a usual Hollywood Studios day, but this option is still quick and easy and gets you fed. So can you go back to that part about the captain's table? Well, earlier in the video, I mentioned that $30 extra that you can purchase to get exclusive seating in the Crown of Corellia dining room. And then I quickly mentioned that you'd be served the captain's favorites when you're sitting at this special table in the middle of the room. In addition to the meal everyone else in the dining room is being served, you get a few extra courses and an extra entree option, a champagne toast, and a wine pairing. Now, is it better to pick the first or second dinner seating? Well, as you get ready to board the Halcyon, you'll have to pick when you want to enjoy your dinner at Crown of Corellia. Earlier in the evening with Group 1 or later in the evening with Group 2, just like cruise ship dining times. Whichever slot you pick doesn't make a huge difference on the first night, but it can make a difference on night 2. I'm going to try to make this point as non-spoilery as possible, so if you're wanting a more leisurely meal to enjoy what's on your plate without a care in the world, then choose the first seating. However, if you want to be eating when the major action starts up for the night, despite maybe not getting to enjoy all the food in front of you to the fullest, then you choose the late seating. Sorry, that's all the info I'm going to give you regarding the big event. Just trust me on this, okay? Slot 1, leisurely dinner. Slot 2, action-packed dinner. So how are those space cocktails? Well, sure, you can order human drinks on board the ship, and thank goodness for that. I needed my Diet Coke fix. But if you want to get adventurous with your beverage options, Sublight Lounge has not only an array of alcoholic and non-alcoholic concoctions for you to try, but they've got drinks with rather unique properties, which you can learn more about during the Cantina Chronicles. The Cantina Chronicles is an activity that will let you sit back, relax, and try a sampler of non-alcoholic sips as the mixologist shares some fun facts about each. And by fun, I mean kind of dangerous. For instance, the Yoruda Poison Spitter Drop is indeed poisonous. No, not really. Just play along, will you? According to the mixologist, this drink is an important beverage back on the planet Felucia for its argument-settling properties, because what's a little poison among friends? Don't worry, once you try this, the mixologist will quickly whip up an antidote for you, so you don't have to worry about kicking the bucket mid-mission. And don't even get me started on the truth-telling serum, aka the minty watermelon-flavored Muja Twist. Other cool drinks we got to try at the Sublight Lounge that weren't as kid-friendly were concoctions like the Fiery Mustafarian with a side of lava extract and the Hoth Icebreaker made with vodka and lemon and topped with lemon vanilla foam. Want to learn more about the drinks on board? I'll link out Sublight Lounge reviews in the description below. Now, what if I don't want to eat blue shrimp? Well, the options you'll be served at Crown of Corellia are adventurous, both in flavor and appearance. But you've also got a few safer options here too, like the Bubble Waffle Grilled Cheese, which is basically grilled cheese with a side of tomato soup, and the Orange Chicken, which may not look as safe as it actually is since it's served with sides of blue noodles and green rice, but honestly, Orange Chicken is Orange Chicken no matter what part of the galaxy you're in. That being said, for those who lean more toward the chicken tenders and hot dogs spectrum rather than the let's try this because I can't pronounce the name of it spectrum, you don't have a whole lot of different options here. Don't worry, parents, there is a younglings menu, but the options are still a little out there for kiddos with more particular tastes. Options include things like Flora rice paper rolls, Ched cheesy beef spiral dumplings, and fried tip-yip chicken chunks. There is a cheese pizza on the menu too, thank goodness for the za, as well as safer sides like buttered noodles, waffle fries, and fruit cups. Again, that's not a whole list to choose from, but it is nice to know safer options do exist. If you yourself are a picky eater and you're nervous about eating the options on the main menu where adventurous options are aplenty, you're more than welcome to order any items off the kids menu as often as you'd like. Also, take advantage of being able to use your Hollywood Studios quick service voucher at any quick service location throughout the park. Then you can grab yourself something a little tamer and less out of your norm, like a hot dog over at Fairfax Fair on Sunset Boulevard or a cheeseburger at Rosie's All-American Cafe. Those snacks are available throughout the day. You can also bring your own snacks, sandwiches, and various charcuterie options with you if you're afraid you're not going to vibe with many of the meals here. Okay, now this next one is really important for you night owls. What is open late? You're more than welcome to roam the Halcyon any time throughout the night, as long as you're not stirring up any funny business. We're looking at you first order. However, nothing's going to be happening. Not story events, and especially not multiple course meals. Aside from the gift shop, Sublight Lounge stays open pretty late, 1 a.m. on night 1 and 2 a.m. on night 2, so you can order drinks and food late into the evening, and honestly, that's some of the best food on the ship anyway. Come morning, Sublight Lounge will reopen for grab-and-go breakfast and coffee to help start your day. So the age-old Star Wars question, can I drink blue milk? Well, whether you love blue milk or think it tastes like perfume, you will be able to get this staple Star Wars concoction at Crown of Corellia Dining Room. Pretty much all the time during breakfast and lunch, they've got blue milk and green milk on tap, and you can go get as much as you want. Now, during dinner, that little buffet area is closed, so if you want blue milk, your server will have to bring you blue milk. And how do they accommodate special diets? Well, when you first board the Galactic Starcruiser between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., you'll need to visit the Crown of Corellia Dining Room for a consultation with a chef or crew member trained in special diets. That way you can plan out all your meals before your journey begins. It's also important to email special.diets@disneyworld.com 7 to 14 days before your trip if you have a very specific dietary need that the Starcruiser needs to be aware of ahead of time. If you're looking for plant-based options, then there's no need for a consultation. Plant-based options are readily available on menus. Each plant-based option will be marked with a tiny green leaf icon. Much like the Disney Cruise Line, you will have the same server both nights of your trip, so they'll become familiar with your particular dining needs and preferences. So AJ, what are the rooms like? Well, viewer, they're very small, unless you're lucky enough to be in a suite. In which case, they're nice and big. But anyway, though the Galactic Starcruiser is an experience and not really just a hotel, the rooms are very cruise ship-like in their tight and compact style. Maybe even more so than a cruise ship room, to be honest. On Disney Cruise Line, now I know Disney Cruise Line has a slight bit larger rooms than other cruise lines, but this room is definitely smaller than a Disney Cruise Line cabin. So although you're paying a lot of money to be here, this is by no means a luxury stay on the Halcyon in the way that you would think, a Waldorf Astoria or Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton would be luxury. These rooms are cool, they're futuristic looking, they got chrome fixtures there in the bathroom, windows with space views, and a droid assistant who doesn't do a whole lot of assisting, more on that later. But it can get rather cramped if you're lounging in a standard size cabin. But if you're really playing the game correctly on the Starcruiser, then you're not in the cabin enough to really care. You're more than likely going to be out there in the action, doing things, deciding whether or not you want to join forces with the dark side or droid racing. It's a spectrum, But that doesn't mean you can't come back to your cabin when you need some R&R and watch some Earth TV if you need to unwind. That's right, you can watch Golden Girls. They even have a stream of Happily Ever After if you need that fireworks show back in your life. Now, originally we were a teensy bit nervous about those twin bunks in the room, because last time I remember willingly wanting to sleep on a bunk bed was when I was about yay high, but they turned out to be quite spacious and should fit taller passengers just fine. However, they're not as comfortable as you want them to be. The mattresses are super firm. It kind of feels like sleeping on a futon. And there's also no real bedding. There's no sheets there. It's just like a blanket, and then you sleep in almost like a sleeping bag in the Starcruiser bunk beds. So just heads up on that. Also, something to note, there are no bathtubs on the Starcruiser, so if you have a little kid who usually takes baths, it may be time for them to start learning how to shower. But honestly, you're there for 2 days, so it's not like your kid's gonna get that dirty on a Starcruiser, right? Now, are there any windows? Well, your cabin will have a window, quote unquote, but it's not going to let you peep out into Florida. That's because you're not in Florida anymore. Instead, you'll be given a view of space. It's kind of like the Space 220 dining room windows, but on a much smaller scale. You're going to be able to see ships passing by, planets you don't know existed, and other fun galactic sightings. But if you were hoping for space friends to come up to your window and greet you like they do on inside cabins on Disney Cruise Line, that doesn't happen. Chewie doesn't come up and knock on your window or anything like that. It's just spaceships and planets and nebulas and stars. And you can sleep among the stars. You can leave that window open while you're sleeping if you want, but it's basically a TV screen. So once you turn off all the other lights and it's pitch black in there, that screen gets real bright. So there's a little button you can press to kind of close the window. Now, another fun fact about these windows, they're part of the ongoing story too. Let's say someone aboard the ship activates a hyperspeed function during one of their missions. If you're in your room at that time, you'll be able to see the ship go into hyperspeed. Don't worry, it's not going to disorient you or chuck you across the room or anything. It's just a 5-second little whee, there's a bunch of stars, and then it's all done. But if there are a bunch of TIE fighters attacking the ship, you'll see the TIE fighters outside your room window. Stuff like that. Now, I can hear you asking me from the last section, droid assistant? Tell me about my droid assistant, AJ. Well, okay, let me take you a moment to tell you about my slightly useless friend, D309, who looks like Dot Matrix from Spaceballs, so we just call her Dot. D309 is a logistics droid in your room, and she's activated on your TV by pressing the droid link button. D309, bless her heart, means well, but it is definitely not a Hey Disney, Hey Siri, Hey Alexa feature. There's a little light below your droid screen that'll be blinking if she has something to tell you. You press that button, she comes on, she has a little conversation with you about something she needs to let you know about, and then she goes away. And then if you try to click the button again to talk to her, you basically get a space voicemail. So she's pretty much solely a story addition. She's going to let you know some of the things that are happening on the story. She's going to, probably be interrupted by a stormtrooper because apparently the First Order's on the ship now, stuff like that. So she's going to help you along with your story, but she's not the one you call if you need more towels. You know what I mean? What is cool though is that she does respond to what you say. So if she says to you, what are you most interested in on the ship? If you say food, then she'll start talking to you a little bit about dining. So that's kind of cool. But what's really fun is at night, she will offer to either tell you a bedtime story or sing you a lullaby. You should definitely choose one the first night and the other the second night because you don't want to miss any of those. So let's talk bathrooms, right? One of our favorite topics here. The bathrooms in your rooms are themed much like the rooms themselves, very small and very chrome and very orange. There's a lovely rainfall shower head and shiny refillable containers of shampoo, conditioner, and body wash filled with a staple H2O product that Disney uses all the time. But like I said, no bathtubs. So if you have a little one with you who needs a nightly bath, you'll have to make do with what you've got. Along with those, you've got the Halcyon branded towels, a thermal blower, aka your average hairdryer, body lotion, and hand soap in containers that match the ones in the shower, foaming bubble masks and face towels, and a water bottle with drinking glasses. The water bottles can be refilled in the atrium at any time. Okay, so AJ, I'm in a little concrete box with all of my space friends, but one restaurant, one lounge, one store. What am I going to do? Will I get bored? Well, there is something constantly happening on this ship. Whether it be training on the bridge, fashioning off your galactic garb on the red carpet, or looking out for porgs with the Lothcat crew, which by the way are the kids, your itinerary will point you in the direction of something fun and new each day. You have to be actively trying to be bored to achieve maximum boredom on this ship. And yeah, the side activities and games are great. I can't tell you how many rounds of Sabacc I played during my time there, more on that in a sec. But what really builds this experience is the character interactions that shape your story and make this really, really memorable. And it also, as you know, makes your experience completely different from literally everybody else's. Even your family. At some point, they will do something different from what you're doing. And it's really, really cool to get together at the end of the day and compare stories. All right, so what if you need some fresh air? Now, although this experience is strictly indoors, aside from your excursion out onto Batuu, you can also escape to the climate simulator if you're feeling cooped up. The climate simulator acts as a sort of courtyard featuring plants collected from different planets, and if you're starting to feel like you just need to step outside for a bit without breaking the illusion, then this is the spot you want to go to take in that good old sunshine and humidity that you're used to. It's kind of a little Zen garden with little stone benches around that you can sit on. And there's a pretty cool Force event that happens here as well. Okay, can I play out all the storylines? Well, Galactic Starcruiser isn't something you can experience all in one go, nor does Disney expect you to. There are so many different storylines you can unravel, and each of them is heavily based on your interactions with other characters on board. Once you interact with one of the crew members, they can send you missions through your datapad and direct your path from there. You've got your standard main storyline that all travelers experience, but there are a bunch of side storylines going on at all times throughout the day that build into your personal story. That being said, unless you're not participating whatsoever, you don't really know you're missing out on something in plotline A, B, and C if you're in the middle of accomplishing plotline D, E, and F. I'm still learning about things that happened on the Starcruiser while I was on the Starcruiser and never saw and would never have experienced, and I still don't know. Okay, so can you tell us about lightsaber training? Well, I'm proud to say that I am a pro lightsaber wielder now, like basically I'm a Jedi. During your lightsaber training, you'll be led by a trainer called a Saja, who will align you and the other trainees in front of a wall with 6 light circles. Now, what I thought was weird here is that they sort of line you up in both a horizontal line and vertical line. So it kind of felt like gym class is what my friend and I were talking about. You know, when you go to gym class and there's too many kids, and so they have you line up behind another kid, and then he takes a turn, and then he goes to the back of the line and you take a turn, like when you're practicing basketball or something, right? That's kind of what it is. So people keep taking turns, but during your lightsaber training, there will be several people that are just sort of standing there doing nothing, at least a couple times during that lightsaber training. So that seemed weird to me because I was like, why don't you just have 2 lightsaber training rooms so everybody can actually actively be doing the lightsaber thing during their entire training instead of spending probably 10, 15 minutes of it just standing there doing nothing, right? Right. So there's a criticism for that. But anyway, during your lightsaber training, you'll be using your lightsaber to hit different tracer light beams that shoot out of the walls. During round 2, select trainees will receive shields, which also follow the light patterns shooting out of the wall. That way, your partner using the lightsaber misses their chance to smack away the beam, you'll be able to defend. And the third round, well, I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say you might get the chance to test out if the Force is strong with you. The entire experience is kind of fun, but kind of dumb, and I don't know, it really wasn't for me. And our particular Saja was really getting into her acting, and it was just a little too unbelievable for me, I think. That was my main problem with lightsaber training. I just think they've set it up wrong. It doesn't feel good. It feels kind of like a waste of time, and it's not really all that fun. So maybe that whole experience will change a little bit as they get feedback. Okay, so how do you play Sabacc? Well, Sabacc is all the rage on Halcyon. Think of this game like a cross between poker and blackjack. For the longest time, this was a fictitious game, well loved by popular Star Wars characters like Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, but now you can play it too in real life. Note that the game on the Halcyon is a little bit different from other Sabacc games you might be able to play or buy the cards for on Galaxy's Edge. If you're wanting to participate in a Starcruiser activity, but you also want to chill for a sec, then Sabacc tables and lessons are available at SUBLIGHT Lounge. Especially on day one, there'll be a little section of your itinerary that'll say, learn to play Sabacc or Sabacc lessons, and that's a good time to go into the lounge, and one of the crew members will sit down with you with a game of Sabacc and teach you how to play it. Now, there are two ways you can play Sabacc: on a regular table with physical cards that cast members will bring to you upon request, or at the hologram table, where the game is presented via virtual projection with a variety of buttons to help you shuffle through and play your cards. When we went, there wasn't too bad of a wait to sit at the hologram table, but that doesn't mean there won't be at least a little bit of a wait every now and then, since there's only one holo Sabacc table. But this table is super cool, so make sure to take some time out of your mission-filled day to play a round or two, or three or four. Seriously, I lost count. It was really fun, though, when characters came in while we were playing Sabacc, because they would basically help us play. They'd point out cards we should discard, they'd remind us we weren't doing the math correctly when we weren't doing the math correctly, and it was really fun to have that sort of interaction with all of those characters who did know how to play, and they were helping us out. It was awesome. Now, there are physical Sabacc cards that you can play out in the atrium or in SUBLIGHT Lounge, and you can also, of course, buy them in the gift shop. And by the way, if you happen to be really good at Sabacc, there is a Sabacc tournament that happens. You don't really win anything except for, glory, but that's fun to play in as well. Okay, do I have to dress up? Well, Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser wants you to dress up for this experience. Is it required? Of course not, but it is highly encouraged so that everyone aboard can stay as completely immersed in this realm as possible. Plus, that's all part of the fun. If there's a particular Star Wars character you absolutely adore, whether it be from the sequels, the prequels, or somewhere in between the timelines, there are literally so many I have a hard time keeping them straight, you're more than welcome to dress like them within reason. And hang on for that list of rules in just a second. Just make sure if you dress like someone like Han Solo or Leia or Rey or Kylo Ren, that you're not going around posing for pictures and signing autographs for other guests or otherwise trying to imply that you are that character. Other A-OK items include wings, toy swords, tutus, and costume headwear that doesn't cover the face. Now, what are guests not allowed to wear? Listen, if you really want to wear a jersey for your favorite sports ball team, no one's going to stop you. You don't have to dress in galactic garb. But again, Galactic Starcruiser would love if you did to help enhance the experience for you and for everyone else on board. But there are some restrictions. You can't wear a costume that's going to distract others from the overall experience, so no full-on zombified characters or attire that leaves little to the imagination. You also can't have weapons or props that look too much like a weapon, nor are you allowed to have sharp decorations on costumes that could potentially poke or strike someone. Dressing like a full-on stormtrooper is fine, but for starters, yikes, that's uncomfortable. And when you're dressing in costume, remember that you're going to be active all throughout the day, so you want to make sure to keep up with appearances while also keeping things comfortable and cool, especially if you plan on taking full opportunity of that Batuu excursion, because it's going to be real hot out there here for the next few months. But if you really want to wear the stormtrooper garb, you can. You just have to make sure the helmet is off when you're roaming around. Also, keep in mind that you have to go through an extra screening beforehand if you're wearing particularly layered costumes. Now, during your time in Batuu, make sure you're not wearing any full-length robes or other costumes that drag on the ground. Capes are fine unless A, you're Edna mode, or B, your cape goes kind of below your calves. What did I wear on the Starcruiser? Well, I wore leggings and tunics and capes and knee-high boots most of the time. But for dinner, I kind of dressed things up a little bit with some galactic-inspired jewelry and fun hairstyles and stuff like that. So I would say a lot of people definitely dressed in Star Wars-inspired clothes and not necessarily as a character. Okay, do these stories tie into Galaxy's Edge? Well, if you think for a second that Disney Imagineers just accidentally created all these scavenger hunts and intersecting Starcruiser storylines while they were building Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, then you are sadly mistaken, my friends. Batuu and the Halcyon were always meant to go hand in hand. Your time spent in Galaxy's Edge during your excursion will not only teach you important backstories behind some of your favorite Star Wars rides, but will also directly impact your own story on the Galactic Starcruiser. For instance, you can learn who the coaxium buyer is on Smuggler's Run, which is crucial if you've got the task of learning more about all the smuggling going on behalf of the First Order. Cast members on Batuu can also help you answer questions and complete certain missions. All you need to do is ask. And although making reservations for places like Oga's Cantina have little Easter eggs and small details about the Halcyon and the people aboard, it's not critical that you get a reservation here. And thank goodness for that, because those reservations are still super hard to snag. And what happens if technology fails us? Well, a big part of what makes Starcruiser work is the technological marvels at play here. Like, this is a big time production, and it's all based on your phone and some pretty big deal technology on the ship. And we know how fickle technology can be at times. What's going to happen if your scheduled lightsaber training or bridge training goes down? Do you just miss out on those big experiences altogether? What if you're on Batuu and Rise of the Resistance is broken all day and you don't get to ride it? Well, here's the thing. You paid for those experiences, so Disney is going to do their very, very best to make sure you get those experiences. If your scheduled training is down for the count, there is a contingency plan in place to get you into another training later on in the day, even if that needs to be a late night training session. Your itinerary should update if plans happen to change. As far as Rise of the Resistance goes, well, malfunctions back in Batuu are out of the Halcyon's hands. However, you do have from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the rides to come back online, so if you're on Batuu and one of your Lightning Lane rides happens to go offline, come back a little bit later. Hollywood Studios will try to get them back up and running for travelers as soon as possible. Just remember, ride recovery times vary, so you could run into a 20-minute delay, 2-hour delay, or in the worst-case scenario, a complete ride shutdown. If the ride looks like it's not going to be back up and running for the remainder of the day, then there's a possibility that Disney will give you Recovery Hollywood Studios ticket and Lightning Lane pass to experience Rise of the Resistance on another day. Just make sure to talk to guest services or passenger services on board and discuss your options. So how do I get to Galaxy's Edge? Well, have you seen that giant square opening next to Kylo Ren's ship in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? Yeah, that's where you'll be traveling to and from Batuu via Batuu Transport. You'll be scheduled a time to board this transport shuttle, but if you show up a little late, it won't be a huge deal. The shuttle's pretty efficient, and the whole trip back and forth takes about 4 to 5 minutes. Before boarding, you'll be presented with your Halcyon pin, which you can wear proudly around Galaxy's Edge so everyone knows where you just came from. And you'll also get water, which you can carry around proudly because you're staying hydrated. Though you don't have to wear a mask while you're on the Halcyon or in Batuu, you do have to wear one in the transport at this time. The shuttle runs from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on day 2. You can go back and forth as you please. Also, if you purchase something in Batuu and need it taken to your room later, just track down one of the Halcyon members lingering outside the transport tunnel. They'll make sure to get any knickknacks you buy on Batuu back to your cabin, so you don't have to worry about lugging them around for the rest of your time there. That is super, super useful if you're building a lightsaber. Okay, so do you have to go to Batuu? You know how I've mentioned frequently that the Halcyon is a lot like a Disney Cruise Line in many ways, aside from the whole choose your own adventure storylines where your fate may or may not be on the line? Don't mind me, I'm just going to bring that up again. Much like a Disney Cruise Line, it docks at Castaway Cay. You don't have to leave the ship if you don't want to. There are still lots of other activities you can participate in while remaining on board. I wouldn't recommend skipping out on Batuu completely. For one, you got those dining vouchers you can use at any Disney's Hollywood Studios quick service location, so you can get like chicken nugs and stuff, and that's cool. And then there are your Lightning Lane passes for Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run, which will help you skip over the giant lines without having to worry about purchasing all the Disney Genie Plus and individual attraction selection reservations. Not to mention, if you completely skip out on Batuu, you're going to wind up skipping out on some important storylines. And if you want to experience Starcruiser to its fullest, then you're going to want those storylines revealed. But can I visit other parts of Hollywood Studios? Listen, at the end of the day, this is your vacation, so if you want to go over and hit up Slinky Dog Dash or grab a Mickey pretzel at one of the kiosks or go shopping at Hotel Tower Gifts for a Tower of Terror fan back home, go for it. But I will say this, just because you can venture out to other parts of Hollywood Studios doesn't necessarily mean you should. Starcruiser works around the clock to make sure you're completely synced into that immersive realm and storytelling, and you pay a lot of money to be part of that too. So it kind of kills the mood when you're tracking down smugglers one minute and the next you're spinning around on aliens swirling saucers while You've Got a Friend in Me plays in the background. And let me say this one more time. It's important to make sure you explore Batuu if you want a thorough playthrough of this experience, since what you do there will impact your storyline on the ship. Now, how much do the characters really interact with the guests? Now, this isn't your average character meet and greet. This is advanced character interaction like Disney's never done before. The Halcyon crew needs your help to accomplish daring missions. They'll even ping you on your datapad with new assignments to make sure you're kept busy at all times, if you're looking to be kept busy at all times, that is. Some characters, like Uwani, will even teach you things you weren't expecting to learn, like Huttese, which is her native language, and the only one she can speak. So this isn't a take pictures and exchange small talk ordeal. This is a make connections, learn a thing or two, and kick butt ordeal. The characters that have been specifically created for this experience are the only characters who can give you missions. Other characters, like Chewie and Rey, are there to help progress the main storyline but won't direct the course of your experience. For example, let's say you run into the new Halcyon mechanic, Sammy. Now, Sammy's a quirky, energetic guy, but he might need you to check on a few crates to track down some rather concerning First Order supplies. And how about Lieutenant Croy? Sure, he might be on the side of the First Order, but if he expects you to give up info about Sammy, he'll be looking for your utmost compliance, and the way you answer will, once again, direct your journey aboard the ship. When you agree to missions, there's the possibility that these characters will grant you permission to new areas of the Halcyon or new rooms, which you'll be able to access by using your magic band. That's right, not everybody can get into every room unless you do missions that give you access to those rooms. Some character interactions might take place face-to-face, and some might happen just on your datapad. Either way, make sure to keep your phone on for any incoming assignments, because the fate of the galaxy might depend on it. And can you step back from the interaction? I've talked a lot about interaction and immersiveness and character missions there, but what if you don't want to be directly involved in all of this? What if you're a major Star Wars fan and you want to experience the Halcyon and all its intergalactic glory, and you love kind of playing the game sometimes, but you'd rather not be put in the spotlight or have a bunch of fate of the universes in your hands pressure pushed onto you? Well, here's the thing. You don't have to interact with characters and missions if you don't want to. There are many ways to play here and still have a good time overall. With that being said, there are some admittedly really cool moments that you're going to miss out on if you decide to opt out of the character interactions. Again, this is not a place you stay if you're looking for a relaxing couple of days. You're actively trying to protect the Resistance or join the First Order or do shady deals with the underworld. However, Galactic Starcruiser members are trained to connect with all types of passengers. So if you're more hesitant about being directly involved with missions and would rather sit back and watch from afar, crew members will get the memo. No one's going to force you to play a direct role in the experience. Now, if you're being brought onto the ship because your significant other really loves Star Wars and you know your kids are going to really like this, but you know this is just not your jam and you're having sort of anxiety about it, don't worry. Just talk to a passenger services crew member right at the beginning and let them know, hey, this is my situation. I'm nervous. I have social anxiety. And they will make sure that the word gets out that you need to just sort of watch instead of be involved. That's one amazing thing about these crew members and these cast members that are working on this ship. I feel like they have chosen them very, very carefully, and they are entirely and completely invested in making sure you have the best experience possible. Honestly, even more so than regular Disney cast members, which are awesome as it is. So it's kind of shocking how empathetic and in tune these particular cast members are. So I don't think you're going to need to worry too much as long as you speak up and let them know how you feel. Okay, so when should you not be in your room? Afraid of missing a big story event? You should be, because there's a lot of big story events, and basically when anything happens, it's important. But the Halcyon will let you know when something huge is about to take place. Anytime the ship tells you to be out of your room, listen. If your TV or overhead voice tells you to go somewhere, it's probably important to the story. And brace yourself for that muster alarm that blares in the evening on the second night. That one's a bit startling, but that's because things are about to go down. Now, your datapad will actually pop up with a little note that says, hey, big story element is about to happen, so whatever's next on your itinerary, even if it just says, oh, you should go to the atrium because Gaia's gonna sing or something. It's not just Gaia singing. Something's gonna happen that you need to know about for one of your missions. So go ahead and go. Okay, can I shop till I drop in space? Well, can you get specific Star Wars themed mugs, pins, and memorabilia aboard the Halcyon? No. They don't know what a Star War is. Can you get galactic fashions unique to this universe over at the Chandrila Collection gift shop? Absolutely. The Chandrila Collection is your must-stop shop to keep you stylishly immersed while on the Galactic Starcruiser. You can purchase complete ensembles for both adults and kiddos, and jewelry and Halcyon-themed pins. The stuff here will cost you a pretty penny. It's exclusive, fancy, and expensive. But if you want these costume pieces ahead of time so you're already dressed and looking the part, you can order them online 60 days before your adventure begins. This is only if you've already purchased a Halcyon trip. These exclusive outfits won't be available for those who don't have a Starcruiser reservation. Though you won't be able to purchase a lightsaber like the one you'll wield during your training, you can still purchase an exclusive lightsaber here, one with personalized Arabash lettering of your choosing. You can also still purchase lightsabers at Savi's workshop with a reservation, or Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, no reservation required, over in Galaxy's Edge. The Chandrila Collection gift shop is also where you'll be able to purchase any first aid or emergency over-the-counter products. You'll have to ask a Chandrila cast member about them since they won't be on display, and the front desk should have some on hand as well. And at one point, we actually called from our room to ask if they had toothbrushes, and they brought us toothbrushes right to our room, so that was great. All right, gang, I think it's about time for me to sit back with a tall glass of blue milk. Not really, I don't like blue milk. And reflect on all this, and I suggest you do the same, especially if you're thinking about dropping a lot of dough on the Galactic Starcruiser in the near future, or far future, or wherever you are, future. Keep in mind that although we answered your questions as of now, this is by no means an exhaustive FAQ. More questions are bound to bubble up now that the Galactic Starcruiser is open to the public. So continue to ask questions and we'll continue to answer them here and in detail on the Disney Food Blog website. May the Force be with you. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.